It looks like it landed. That's the first thought that comes to mind, standing beneath the new David Geffen Galleries at LACMA, a concrete monolith perched on stilts straddling Wilshire Boulevard like it overshot its runway. Depending on who you ask, it's sleek or splotchy, maybe bold, maybe bunker like. The only thing no one calls it is boring. Swiss architect Peter Zumthor, with museum director Michael Govan in lockstep, calls it a concrete sculpture. That's generous. At 347,500 square feet and 800 million when all's said and done, it's certainly large enough to make a statement. Whether that statement is awe or confusion remains to be seen. This is not your traditional encyclopedic museum anymore. Chronology? Out. Geography? Gone. The neat mental maps that helped visitors make sense of global art have been scrapped in favour of rotating themed shows. It's like someone threw out the index of a giant book and asked you to enjoy the story anyway. Sure, that works for some people. For others, it's a game of artistic hide and seek with no guarantee of finding what you're looking for. Then there's the material itself: concrete, wall to wall, floor to ceiling, gallery after gallery, 90 of them to be exact. It's striking at first, but after walking through what feels like miles of it, the drama starts to fade into repetition. The texture shifts from modern to monotonous. It's like sitting through a symphony made entirely of timpani. Of course, there are windows, big ones. Floor to ceiling glass wraps the perimeter in places, offering relief in the form of LA's skyline. But even those came with compromise. Originally, they were supposed to be elegantly curved, echoing the flowing lines of the roof above. Budget cuts flattened them, making the lower level more boxy than the sinuous structure on top. From the street, the mismatched profiles feel like an architectural blind date that didn't quite click. And yet, somehow, this building is still kind of fascinating. At the preview event, the building wasn't filled with art, it was filled with music. Kamasi Washington and a dozen ensembles staged a sprawling concert throughout the empty space, letting harmonies float through bare galleries and down long, echoing corridors. For a brief moment, the concrete shell became an instrument, not just a container for culture, but part of the performance itself. And that, maybe, is the building's best case scenario. But not everything is music and metaphor. Let's talk about the practical stuff, like hanging the art. Since every wall is concrete, every exhibition will require holes to be drilled, anchors to be pounded, and then patched when things move. That's not just tedious, it's expensive, labour intensive, unsustainable, some might say, especially for a museum promising flexibility and constant change. And yet, LACMA is betting big on change. In abandoning the old format, the museum is repositioning itself not just as a civic institution, but as a destination, one designed for a global audience, camera ready, and statement making. The comparison to Frank Gehry's Guggenheim Bilbao is intentional. Govan worked there before coming to LA, and the formula is being recycled: eye catching architecture, Instagram worthy sculpture, and a bold presence in the cityscape. Which brings us to Jeff Koons's new addition, Split Rocker, a 37-foot tall floral topiary that fuses a hobby horse with a dinosaur head. If that sounds bizarre, well, that's kind of the point. It's playful, it's cartoonish, and it's strategically positioned at the edge of the Geffen building like a welcoming beacon, or a giant toy with a landscaping budget. Kuhn says he's thrilled to bring his horticultural experiment to LA. And in fairness, this city is perfect for it. A place where oversized ideas bloom all year long. With over 50,000 flowering plants embedded in Split Rocker, it's a living sculpture that will grow into itself over time. A rare metaphor that actually lands. Still, for all the colour Koons brings to the plaza, there's a strange greyness hanging over the museum's leadership. Several key executives, the COO, the CFO, and the Deputy Director for Curatorial and Exhibitions, have all exited recently, just as this multi-decade transformation nears the finish line. It raises questions about the museum's internal stability, or what direction it'll take once the paint, or rather the concrete, fully dries. Will it work? That depends on what working means. If the goal is to attract attention, LACMA has succeeded. If it's to challenge expectations, mission accomplished. But if it's to serve the public with clarity, accessibility, and depth, well, we'll have to wait and see. The building officially opens in April 2026, and only then will the full picture come into focus. Until then, it stands unapologetically above Wilshire, daring you to feel something: admiration, frustration, curiosity, maybe even a little bit of all three. One thing's for sure: art now has a bold new address in Los Angeles. Whether or not it feels like home is a question only time and visitors can answer.